All right, folks, John Henning here with the Franchise Radio Show, and today we're joined by Bill Schroeder, the President and CEO of TravelHost. Bill, are you there? Thanks for joining us.
John, thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. And I wanted to get into the business, but before we do that, Bill, as we talked, and I say this on every interview, and I apologize for the listeners, but I am a huge proponent, and everybody that listens knows this, of people buy from people. And so we want to kind of get to know about you a little bit before we get into the business stuff. So can you take a minute or two and tell us a little bit about, where you're from, who you are, where you're living? Tell us about Bill.
Okay, thanks, John. Well, I'm originally from Northern Illinois, kind of halfway between Chicago and Milwaukee. My family was the community newspaper publisher. My grandfather started the business in the 50s, and my dad was involved with the editorial. And after college, I went to the University of Illinois in Champaign. After college, I got involved with the business, and I got involved with sales and marketing. So that was a big influence. As a community newspaper publisher, you're involved with the community. You go to the chamber meetings. You know the mayors. You know all the business people and the bankers, and just kind of being involved with the community. So that was important. I now live in the Dallas, Texas area. That's where our TravelHost headquarters is. And I've been here for about 22 years. For fun, I'm a car guy. I mess with cars. If there's somebody in your neighborhood who's always in the garage tinkering or breaking something on their old classic car, that would be me.
Okay.
I've got two daughters. My wife has a horse. I've got 2 German Shepherds, 4 cats. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us. Now, something you had mentioned to us earlier here, and I want to make sure to bring this up. Tell us a little bit about your background. You were in service for a while as well, right?
Yes, I did. I retired actually about a year and a half ago after about 30 years in the Navy. I retired from the Reserve. I was a public affairs officer. So if you've ever looked on television and there was somebody up there saying that, hey, it says media spokesman on it, that was me. I would work with the media, help them, give them the information, all that kind of stuff. So, that situation kind of combined with growing up in local media kind of was a natural transition to get involved with TravelHost, and it actually laid a really good foundation for me.
Let's talk about how you got involved with TravelHost. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved, what you're doing today, that kind of thing. Just take us right into this is how I got involved with TravelHost type conversation. Well,
this is my second tour of duty, as I say, with TravelHost. I originally got involved in about 2002 through 2005. I was the vice president of sales for TravelHost, and what I did was I helped interested people interested in the TravelHost business opportunity. I would help them to get on board, talk about it, help set them up, most importantly, help get them off to a successful, profitable start. I did that in the early 2000s, worked for the headquarters. It was a great experience. I learned a lot, met some relationships that I still have today. I then, because of my military background, kind of got lured, shall we say, into working for defense contractors. So I spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C., meeting with elected officials and and staffers. And while fun, didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought. And then what happened is I got a call from the owner of TravelHost, the man that I worked for when I was first there, and he was in his 70s and said, Bill, I'm looking to retire, and you did a great job for me. Would you be interested? And I said, oh, yeah, because I believe in the concept. It works. It does work. And this gave me an opportunity to lead the network, lead the team, put my own thumbprint on things, take the company in some different directions, enhance some things. So I've owned the company since 2013.
Okay. Now, TravelHost is going to lead me to believe it has something to do with travel, Bill. So fill us in. What does TravelHost do? Like, what are your business owners, doing out there? What services, products, whatever it is, what are they doing for folks out there as TravelHost owners?
Well, one of the things, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, and one of the sections that he does, I think, on one of his talks, was he said, always start with why.
Yep.
So the why of TravelHost is, why TravelHost? It's very simple. When people travel, one of the first questions they ask when they arrive in a community or they check into a hotel or go somewhere is, hey, what's there to do? Where can I go? What's open? What events are there? What's unique shopping? What kind of really great restaurants? What experiences can I connect with? People want to know that. And what TravelHost does is we are magazines and websites and digital that collect all this information on what is going on in that community. And we make it easy for these travelers to get in touch with it and use it. And they refer to our products and they make decisions on where to go to have unique dining experiences or something fun to do, or to come home with something very unique from like a little boutique shop or something like that. Advertising, which is how we make our money, advertisers want to connect with the travel market, because the reality is travelers come into town for a brief amount of time. They tend to spend a lot of money in a short amount of time, and then they go. I mean, if you're out at a restaurant, you'll order the appetizer, you'll order the extra drink, you'll order the extra dinners, because you're on vacation, you're doing something fun, and you just kind of want to kind of keep that all going. So businesses want to connect with these travelers because they typically spend about 30% more, and there is no way to connect with a traveler except through travel media.
Sure.
I mean, travelers are not going to look at the local newspaper. They have no concept of local radio or local TV. And so if you give them information and news and guidance and reviews about what to do in that community, they eat it up. They look at it, they use it, and then consequently the advertisers get a great response for their advertising dollar, and they love the product. And then they renew and they keep going, and it just kind of goes from there.
That is great. I mean, it's given me such a one thing you just said right there, Bill, that really resonated with me. If I'm a traveler, and we do travel from time to time to specifically areas that we don't know, and what you said was, we get there, we check in, and when I look at the wife and say, okay, what are we going to do now, right? And then you're not going to watch the local TV or pick up the local newspaper. If anything, at best, I'm going to ask the guy at the counter at the hotel, right? That's
exactly right.
Yeah, that's my normal go-to. If, hey, where's a good place to eat around? He's going to point me to a hotel restaurant, which may not always be the best place.
Well, and then John, to your point, which is exactly the true, you're going to be asking, which is exactly true. You're going to be asking the guy behind the desk.
Right.
And while you're talking to the guy behind the desk, there's going to be two options. You can go up and say, hey, what's there to do? And he can just stand there and go, I don't know. I don't have a clue. Or he can take a copy of TravelHost and slide it to you. And at that point, that hotel is providing an excellent customer service. You're going to have a great experience with that hotel. You're going to leave better reviews. You're going to want to come back, because your first initial exchange while checking into the room is that he's giving you a high-quality product that's got all this information. Or if he doesn't, then you're just going to stand there and look and go, well, why am I here to begin with? So, so hotels, which is one of our major distribution points, because travelers are going to be going there, they want TravelHost. They need it because this fulfills part of their customer service charge.
I love it. It sounds like a real value add for them to be able to provide that additional service to their clients. And
100%.
Yeah, it just makes so much sense. Now, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, Bill, right? The big P word. Everybody I'm sure that's listening to this right now is going through the same thing that the rest of us are going through. How has the pandemic affected travel? I mean, that's got to be like one of the biggest questions you guys get, right?
Absolutely. And the fact of the matter is, in 2020, travel took it on the chin. There's no question. Everybody got affected. I mean, airlines were down. Hotel occupancy was down. I mean, people were shut in. Our publishers, our owner operators, they took it hard too. They really did. Headquarters was very, very responsive. We kept the network intact. I'll be honest, most of our competitors went out of business. So TravelHost not only has survived this, but is actually building back now and thriving. So in 2020, there was no question. The pandemic hurt a lot because travel stopped. However, now today, in 2022 and looking forward, we're at 2019 levels. For whatever reason, John, everybody uses 2019 as a benchmark to rate. 2020 was an anomaly, so you don't even, people said, how did you do in 2020? Well, everyone is going to go, well, it was a really tough year. We're in a situation now where people are exceeding, and what I mean by that is theme parks are exceeding their 2019 numbers. Restaurants are doing better. Hotel occupancy is at a higher rate, and flight loads on airplanes are going up. As a matter of fact, living in Dallas, one of my things, I have two daughters I mentioned. One of them is a flight attendant for American, so I kind of pay attention to what's going on in the airline industry. Mm-hmm. And what I will tell you is that American, United, Southwest, and Continental are all hiring people. They are out there. They are hiring because their flight loads are going up. They're flying more aircraft. There is a pressure because travel is rebounding fast.
Gotcha. Well, that's great because, you know, if you had said anything else, of course, no one would believe you, right? Because the reality is pandemic has affected everybody. And as we, you know, surmised, it would affect the travel industry. I mean, my biggest travel adventure was from the living room to the bathroom a couple of times a day, right? So
well, yeah.
It's like, there wasn't a whole lot going on there, but now I can concur, you know, on what you said because, you know, I travel for work quite a few times a year here. And, you know, it's definitely has turned around. And I can see exactly what you're saying about with them hiring because I've seen the things on LinkedIn. I've seen people commenting on it. So I am seeing the exact same thing that you are in the flight side of the travel industry. Yeah.
So, John, one more indicator that the news won't necessarily report on, but a huge thing that's happening now is that the international market is coming back with a vengeance. Okay, it's coming back with a vengeance. When everything was shut down, people had to stay in Europe and especially South America and Central America. And now borders are open, flights are returning, everything is coming back. And internet. And if we think of domestic travelers spend a lot of money, oh man, the international folks, they really spend the money. These are the wealthy people from the community, from the affluent markets. You know, England, Canada, Brazil, Colombia, you know, France, Germany, Italy. All coming over, and they spend a lot of money. They will, I think the latest reports that I have from STR, that is Smith Travel Research, it's kind of the Bible, is that when an international traveler comes to the United States, they will spend anywhere between $12,000 and $14,000 in a 7-day period. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I could see how something like what you guys offer is going to help those, you know, businesses capture that revenue that's only going to be there for a short period of time because, man, I'm sorry, I keep getting hung up on what you said earlier about when you travel, you really don't have, unless you have a pre-planned itinerary, which not many people actually do when we go on vacation, right?
That's true. That's true.
You know, what do you do? And here's this guide that gives me what you do. Now, I want to ask you about the business because, and I think I probably know the answer to this, but I want our listeners to hear it from you. What's unique about your business? What really sets you apart in the travel industry as far as being compared to the industry itself? When folks finally learn and figure out what you do and how you do it, what is that unique differentiator or two that you can share with us?
Probably, and this is going to be very boring, but this is going to be the business reality, okay? Is that our model is very unique. I'm going to get all technical on you, and then I'm going to explain it. We are not a franchise, John. We are a business opportunity. And people are like, what does that mean? What does that mean? That means, and we did this on purpose, we have set it up so that the local owner-operator can make as much money as possible. And it's like, Bill, what does that mean? First and foremost, we take 0 royalties. If you were to open up a sandwich shop on the corner or a print shop and get involved with a franchise, the first thing that happens is every single dollar that you would sell, about 8 to 10% of it gets cut right off the top and gets sent back to headquarters as a royalty fee. We don't do that. So if you sell something, you do a business transaction, that's yours. Now, you have to pay for our services, and we can get into that, but that's a flat fee. I mean, you know exactly what that is every month. It's a fixed expense. So that's one of the first things. The second thing is we're not going to tell you how to operate your business. If you open up, again, a franchise sandwich shop, they're going to say, you got to be open at 8, you got to be open at 5, here's your uniform, here's what you need to charge, here's how much you need to buy.
Right.
Okay, here's how you conduct your business. We don't do that. We will help, we will give guidance, but if you say, hey, I'm going to take the day off, you don't check with me and put in for HR to find out what kind of PTO time you got left. You own the business. You are captain of your own ship. You take your time. We don't have a prescribed marketing plan. We're not going to force you to do anything. Again, we're going to help you. We're going to help because we've got best practices. We've been in business for 53 years. That's a long time for any business to be in. And that kind of speaks to the strength of the model is that we've been around. We've made all the mistakes. So when someone gets into TravelHost, their risk is already mitigated. So probably the biggest and most unique thing is that you really are running your own business. You're not just buying a job that from sort of franchise that's going to give you a list of things that you have to do. Ours is going to be, here are options for you to run your own business. John, we got people that have been with the company for over 40 years, own their own businesses for 40 years. They've literally made millions of dollars with TravelHost. And I believe that that's part of this. That says a lot to the individuals. It also says that TravelHost business model allows you the freedom and the flexibility to kind of do your own thing.
Now, let's talk about that because you mentioned the owners themselves. Let's talk about the target owners. A lot of different types of entrepreneurs out there. Who is your, there's, and everybody doesn't have to be ideal, but if you look across your existing business owner group, what's an ideal owner? Who does well owning a TravelHost business?
Well, it's just going to sound a little odd, John, but this is it. The person that tends to do the best are people that see themselves as people. If you walk up to somebody and you say, describe yourself, and they go, I'm a people person, that is an ideal TravelHost owner.
Yeah.
And the reason is that in order to be successful with TravelHost, kind of like what my experience was when I was with the local newspaper in Northern Illinois, you have to become part of the community. Mm-hmm. You need to connect with business people. You need to go to the Chamber of Commerce. You need to talk. You need to leverage. You need to network. You need to enjoy doing that kind of stuff. If you enjoy meeting people and making friends where you go and collecting business cards and things like that, that's what's going to make the difference. Now, there's a lot of people that don't. They want to be in a cube and looking at a computer. Honestly, not a good fit. But the people, John, if you were in the pandemic and you were forced at home and you were crawling the walls because you were dying to get out and connect with people, mm-hmm. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you because this is a perfect business for you. So that's the thing. So first and foremost, that wanting to connect with people and be around people, and that is a really, really good, because we can teach the skills. Now, people want to say, well, what are the skills and the backgrounds? If you're sales and marketing and communications, that all helps. It really does, because it just kind of aids in understanding. But at the end of the day, what we're going to be doing is having conversations with the business community and asking just simple questions, which is, hey, I have a travel audience by virtue of my media and copies out there and a whole bit. I can deliver a travel audience that's going to typically spend about 30% more. Is your business interested in connecting with those travel dollars, those high-profit travel dollars? Mm-hmm. If the person says no, okay, fine. Not everybody wants to do this, but if they're like, yes, tell me more, then we can help you put together your story from your community that's going to make sense to connect on up so you can do business with them.
What is the day in the life of that typical owner? I mean, I get the type of person you're looking for, and it just makes so much sense, right? You don't want the person that's in the back room, right? That person has a job and there's a business for them out there somewhere, but this person's going to be out there in the community building relationships. What's a day in the life of look like for your business owners?
Well, John, first of all, there's no typical day, and I'll explain this kind of in a second. And the reason is there's no typical day is because each one of our owner-operators sets their own schedule. Mm-hmm. They just do, and they're in complete control of their own schedule. However, there's a lot of similarities, and I'll kind of go with that. But one of the things that happens is obviously you get up in the morning and you get after it. What you're going to do is be involved with the community. And being involved in the community could mean going to a Chamber of Commerce lunch. It could be sitting at home, connecting with emails, making phone calls, following up from meetings, very kind of sales-oriented, where you're talking to people and conducting Zoom calls and conference calls, sending notes, packages, things like that. But the big thing that you're going to be doing is connecting with people, talking with them, and then following up and that. Now, because you own your own schedule, you're not behind a door running the desk of the sandwich shop. If
Right.
you've got to leave your house to pick up your kid at school because they got sick, again, you just go. You're in charge of your own schedule. Pick your kid up, come back home. Most of our people work from home. So if people are looking for a work from home situation, this is just perfect for them, because the time they would leave the house, again, is to go to these events or these individual meetings. Our products now come out quarterly, once every 3 months, which is genius, by the way, because it's a short enough time, okay, so that you're able to talk to businesses and create the kind of income that you want. But 3 months, you got some flexibility in there. And if you're a good time manager, if you can personally manage your time well, there is a lot of time off. I mean, we have one guy, this is no joke. What he does is he goes on vacation 6 to 7 times a year for 2 weeks at a time. No joke. His big thing is he likes cruises. So he flies to Fort Lauderdale, hops on the boat, goes out there for 2 weeks at a time. And the reason he's able to do that is that our situation allows him the flexibility. He's making, multiple sets of 6 figures net per year. And he's and he's kind of got this down to a science. So if I was to ask him and say, hey, what's your typical day look like? He'd be like, well, Bill,
I'm on a boat.
Part of the time I'm floating in the Caribbean, but when I'm home, I'm in my office.
Yeah.
Writing emails, making phone calls, preparing to go and meet with people.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I love the diversity there of what you're talking about, because you get a lot of that. You hear a lot of cliche freedom and flexibility, but then you realize, wait a minute, this is what I'm going to be doing every day, and it's pretty much the same thing, right? So I like that you've that true freedom and flexibility built in, and that they control their schedule. And something unique that you mentioned there, too, is that 3-month cycle. So I can have that deadline type sale, but I can still also then build into that if I'm a good time manager, and I'm really in control of what's going into that particular edition then, right? So yeah. So, I mean, talk about freedom and flexibility. One of the things we do is we offer people, make these choices. We offer them a 3-month cycle, but then we also offer folks that are very interested in making more money, a 2-week cycle or 2-month cycle. The reason is, if you have a quarterly product 4 times a year, that's going to be 4 income cycles. Very, very solid. If you do it 6 times a year, well, that's 6. Sure.
Right. So what happens now, and that's a thing that TravelHost does, is when we sit down with prospects, first question is, hey, you're going to be owning your own business. What are you looking? What are your goals? We don't push a package at them. And again, it's not the pizza shop where here's what you're getting, like it or lump it. We sit down and say, hey, is it more important for you to have? You want to make money, no question. But, I mean, is it more important for you to have freedom and flexibility? Do you have family things, or are you at a point in your life where you don't want to work that hard? So you want to have some freedom or flexibility. Or, oh, no, I need to make as much money as I can. I got college to pay for. We can show you what that program looks like, too. Again, it's your choice. With a typical franchise, you don't have that. That's, 8 to 5, 7 days a week. And if your help doesn't show up, you're behind the counter with the apron. This is a whole different planet. So our people really get to take control of their lives.
Bill, what would you say is the top misconception about your business when folks first come to you? They think they know something about what you're doing. What is that misconception that you're dispelling on the very first phone call when you're talking to folks?
Is that they will have to deal with people. Okay, and I say that. And the reason is that we now, so I'm going to talk about society here and all that. There is a certain group of society where what they want to do is sit on their phone and click buttons and magic happens. Right. And there's a whole other group of society that hates that misses that human interaction, that misses looking at people. They don't want to sit in the cube and the whole bit. So what I try to do is to be very direct and honest and candid with them and try to get a sense for, are these, quote unquote, people. If you go out there and visit with the local business community, who's out there as well, you're going to connect up with like-minded people and you'll be able to do business. But this is what I always tell folks, John, is you are better off to go to a Chamber of Commerce lunch, meet people and collect 5 or 6 business cards and then come home and follow up and set appointments than you are spending the entire day crafting the perfect email.
Yeah.
That's not going to count. This is not, although our delivery to the travelers is very sophisticated and digital and electronic oriented and all that, your business connections with people is going to be people first.
Yeah, I can see the difference on that for sure. What would you say, Bill, well, maybe a different question for you. Instead of, normally I ask what are some hot areas, but can you tell our listeners, how does a market area work for someone that owns a TravelHost business? Like, what market area are they servicing?
Well, what we do is this. We kind of first of all, we've kind of mapped out the entire country. And everyone has a really, there are some communities that tend to be a little more travel-oriented than others.
Sure.
Okay. But what you're looking for in an area, and by the way, I'll give you some points. This is all random order. There isn't a hierarchy. It's all this kind of sort of has to work together. First of all, there has to be people movement. People need to be coming in and leaving. Okay. And
sure.
That's right. So, and there has to be with that some form of a transportation structure. There's got to be, decent highways, maybe a regional airport, maybe on the water, something where people can get in and get out. With that comes commerce. There has to be some businesses there, people coming in, sales guys coming into town to stay overnight to make a pitch, or conventions. There has to be that kind of business activity. Along with that comes things like local government or military bases or universities. Again, people are coming in and they're leaving and they're conducting business and all that. Other things now, believe it or not, one of the smaller pieces now is actually tourist things, theme parks, things like that. That, believe it or not, is a smaller piece, very important piece, but a smaller piece, because what we are going to do is talk to folks about how they need to build their business with their consistent business activity of the community.
Sure.
A convention coming into town at the local Convention and Visitors Bureau, bringing in 3,000 or 4,000 people on a consistent basis, is going to be able to build your business better and faster than having, let's say, a seasonal theme park.
Mm-hmm.
Water slide. Okay, John, water slides in Pennsylvania. Not so good right now in February. Now, if you're in Florida, it's a different animal. But guess what? You're right outside of Philadelphia, which has got a big Boeing plant. Now, business people conducting business, if you can target those business people and the hotels and the restaurants around where Boeing is, you can build a business there. So we go over all these things when we're setting up a community and kind of figuring out what makes best sense for what your product needs to do. The other thing that we do, too, talking about flexibility, is that the way the product looks, the way the product is delivered, and I'm talking about the print publication, the digital magazines, all that kind of electronic stuff, your website that you get to control, it is all custom. It's like, Bill, what does that mean? Again, if you were the sandwich shop, you're going to have the same uniform and logo as 1,000 other people across the United States, and you're going to have to run it the same way. Not with TravelHost. When you own your own local market, that product has your thumbprint on it. You are going to be able to put the information in there you want, talk to the advertisers you want, have the schedules that you want personally, that kind of run your own business. So everything is kind of unique, and the reason we do that is that when you go to a local, I'll just pick, if you go to Lexington, Kentucky, that is going to be really, really unique compared to Palm Springs, California.
Sure.
It's going to be, and so that product needs to reflect, it needs to mirror the local community. So we have to give your local operator the ability to reflect, to create that mirror. And that's why this works, is because it's not cookie cutter. It's not a template. Everything is custom for the individual.
I like it. I think what I'm hearing you say here, Bill, is think of it like, bumpers instead of railroad tracks, right?
That would be a great way to look at it.
Yeah, you're giving them the guidance to help steer the ship, but you're not doing things cookie cutter this exact same way, because then I love your example on comparing those two areas. Let's talk about the numbers a little bit, Bill, as much as you can share. Like, what do the numbers look like for the business? How much does it cost to start? What are my ongoing costs? Anything that you can share, just high level, not too detailed.
Yeah.
Just give the folks an idea of what they're looking at.
So first of all, the opportunity is set up to deliver a minimum of a six-figure situation net. That's what it's to deliver. Now, the reality is if you sit on the couch and watch TV and wait for the phone to ring, you're not going to do this. This is clearly going to be one of these situations you're going to have to get out and talk to people. But if you and people say, Bill, what's an honest effort? An honest effort to me is 9 to 3. Okay, 9 to 3 every day. If you give us an honest 9 to 3 every day, you should be able to do these kind of things. To get involved with TravelHost, we came up with a number. It's kind of alliterative. It's $23,456.78. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what that does is that's a very low price to deliver a six-figure income in the first year. And what it does is it includes all your setup fees, no more, no less. It's kind of sets things up for you, all your support, because what we do for headquarters is we're kind of your team. You're in your community and you're making your own rules. But what we do is we have a staff at headquarters that you call. You have a team lead. You call this person and say, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this. This is like part of your team. It's not an employee, but it's, we kind of think of it more of like a working partner. Ongoing now, every single quarter, what happens now, or every single quarter or 6 times a year, depending on your situation, you will pay a flat, predictable fee to TravelHost. And what we do for that is we basically run all the operations of your business. Really. I mean, we take care of the graphic design for the magazines. We take care of the printing. We are the webmasters. We take care of the social media. We have all the forums. You don't need to hire accountants. You don't need to hire lawyers because we've got everything there. So when you go into the community and you've already got contracts and agreements and rate cards, all the things that you would literally, if you started your own business, you'd literally spend thousands of dollars for this stuff. I mean, how much do lawyers cost? And we just, as part of your package, you get what you need. And now you can choose our freedom policies. If you don't want to use what we have, go for it. Spend the money on your own with an attorney. But what you'll do is you'll get something back that really is pretty close to what we're giving to you as part of your package for free.
Right.
So again, it's set up to be at least a six-figure situation. Again, the caveat is you got to work it, but you're not killing yourself doing it. And we have some people that are making over 7 figures a year. That's $1 million on TravelHost a year. So the opportunity is there. Again, John, you asked earlier, what's it take to be good at this? Got to be a people person.
Yeah, I definitely hear that theme, and it makes sense because you're out there in the community so much. And I got just a couple more questions here for you, Bill. One is like just an overall, let's call it a recap here towards the end, and then I got one more question for you at the end. But give us the 3 to 4 minute, just soup to nuts. Here's the high level overview. Just walk us through what everything looks like. Folks are going to reach out to you. We're going to talk about these things, then these things, then these things. Give us the recap here towards the end.
Yeah, the first thing that's going to happen when we talk to people is we're not even going to talk about TravelHost, John. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the individual, what they want to accomplish in their life. Where are they at in life? Are they in their early 30s? Are they in their 50s? Do they have kids at home? Are they empty nesters? Do they have to pay for college? So what we try to do is find out where the people are at in their life. And then what we do is we say, hey, here are some TravelHost options for you to consider that for where you're at in life and what you want to accomplish, here's what other people in our network are doing that are accomplishing that. So we have that conversation. Then what we do is we connect them up with those other owner-operators that are in their same situation. And the reason is then they're able to have a conversation that makes sense for them. So you are able to talk to people and all that. Once we kind of get into the whole, hey, TravelHost big picture is fitting this individual's big picture, then of course we move into the soup and the nuts and here's the specifics that we're going to do. But kind of like what Simon Sinek says, the first thing is why do you want to own your own business? And we need to know that. I hate my boss. Whatever it happens to be. We want to know why you want to own your own business. And honestly, John, if people don't, if they're not a good fit, we're going to tell them, hey, this is probably, we're not going to take your money.
Right.
You're not a good fit. But if they are, we're going to owe it to them to have an honest conversation. So that is the big picture, is that we first decide, are you a good fit mutually? We connect them up with folks, and then we get into the soup and the nuts of what we do and kind of like, hey, here's what TravelHost is going to do, but then here's what you need to do in the community. Now, if everything works out, we have a training program. Again, you don't have to use it. Most people find great benefit in it, but we set you up with people kind of like coaches and kind of help you to get started. The great thing about TravelHost is that we can go from zero to product launch in somewhere between 3 and 5 months, depending on the individual. And you say, Bill, what does that mean? It's real simple. Are you going to work 2 hours a day, or are you going to work 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day?
Right.
We will flex with people depending on their situation. So we can get someone started and they can get launched and going and profitable in 4 to 6 months.
Good deal. Now, I want to make sure that our listeners will be able to reach you. What would you say is the best way to reach out to you? You want to provide our folks with website, email, phone number, smoke signals? What do you think is the best way for folks to reach out to you so they can start the exploration process and see if this is something they want to explore?
Great. I'm going to give two different things. First of all, if you go to TravelHost.com, TravelHost.com, you're going to see our consumer-facing website. But up on the very top bar, you'll see a button that says Become an Owner. If you click on that, this goes to our prospective owner site. And that's going to have a lot of information on there and some videos of current publishers. And it's actually pretty good and comprehensive. You can kind of take a look at it. However, you want to get a hold of me, I'm going to give you my email address in a second. One of the things I believe in, John, is that I believe that a business relationship is very personal. People will say it's just business, but then other people will say business is personal. I make myself available for everybody. My publishers have my direct line. The owner-operators, they call me. I handle it. I want to keep people happy. So the best way to reach me is pop me an email, and that's going to be W. Schroeder, kind of WSCHROEDER @TravelHost.com. Pop me a note and say, Bill, saw whatever. I have questions. Let's connect. And what we'll do is we'll set up a time and have a conversation and see where the conversation goes.
All right, that's great. Bill, we'll also make sure to post the information right underneath the interview on the website as well for the folks so they can get that spelling right on your email address and reach right out to you. And folks, if you do happen to reach out to Bill, tell him you heard about him, through John over at Franchise Radio Show, right? Yeah. And Bill, man, I'll give you the last word here, buddy, as we finish up and let you take us to the finish. But really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for sharing the insight on the business model.
Well, John, thank you very much. I think what you do and the service that you provide to the prospective business owner community is invaluable. And what I would encourage people to do is, if you're listening to this, if something resonated here where you're saying, hey, I want to own my own business, I want to have maximum freedom, I want to have maximum opportunity to make money, please reach out. We'll have a conversation. If it goes somewhere, great. If not, we'll both make a new friend and move on down the road. So with that, John, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity you've given me.